We're here. We've got a 1.3 million registration advantage. You have every single statewide office has a Republican. We have almost a 3-to-1 majority in the Florida House. We have, almost almost 2/3 majority, more than 2/3 in the Florida Senate. We've got 20 Republicans in our congressional delegation. Now, I did have to veto the legislature's map, and so I get this one, but be that as it may. And so you have that. So you can even see, and then I think in the counties, I think we won 62 of 67 counties, including Palm Beach, Miami-Dade, all this stuff. So you could sit here and be like, yep, we've done it. And my message is just don't get high on your own supply. You're only as good as what you're doing for people going forward. There's nothing permanent in politics. People are up, and then they say, oh, there's going to be Republican forever. And then all of a sudden, things shift, and other people can do. I don't think the threat to the Republican Party of Florida right now is as much that the Democrats are going to get their act together than that we, as Republicans, or some Republicans, fumble the ball. And here's my thing, bottom line. A political party is not an end in of itself. If you're a Republican just because you like the cocktail parties, you do all that, look, it's a free country. I'm not saying you can't. That's not why I'm a Republican. I'm a Republican because I think it's a vehicle to deliver policies that I believe in and that can make people's lives better. That's what it's all about. So you can have an R by your name, and I guess, that's obviously better than having a D. At least you had the sense to do that. But if you get elected with an R by your name, that doesn't give you license to smuggle leftism into the Republican Party. It doesn't give you license to do things that are not consistent with what got us here and what led to these big numbers. Because I can tell you what led to the big numbers more than anything, the results that we produced drew a sharp contrast with the Democrats and the left. And like President Reagan said, it's about bold colors, not pale pastels. Everybody in this state who's voted knows that there's a huge difference between our party and the Democratic Party. If you want your kids indoctrinated in gender ideology, you're voting Democrat. You're not going to vote for us. That's very clear in people's mind. If you believe that being tough on crime and law and order is important to you, you're voting for us. You are not voting for them. If you believe in education freedom, you're voting for us. You're not voting for them. Everybody knows because we've drawn a very clear contrast. And we've drawn the clear contrast by being very strong on conservative policy, being strong conservatives, not being wishy-washy, not just sitting there and trying to cut the difference, not making it muddled to where voters don't know. The reason we've grown the party is because people know you stand for something. And I think the way that the party will contract, because sometimes people say, oh, let's bring in leftists into the party, we're expanding the party. No, you're expanding the political class of the party. You're not expanding the voter base of the party by doing that. In fact, you're more likely to alienate voters by doing that. So yes, I'll bring in as many voters who are going to believe in what we're doing, but I'm not going to dilute the message, and I'm not going to create confusion in the minds of voters that maybe these guys don't really mean that they're conservative. Maybe these guys really don't mean what they say we're going to mean. So have the bold contrast, have the sharp contrast with the left, and we will continue to win elections. I want Florida to be ruby red. I don't want us to revert back to some purple haze like we've had in the past. And that's the task that we've had. And I'll just close by saying this. Our founding fathers understood that small r Republican government is fragile. They understood. In fact, when they went to Philadelphia to draft the Constitution, they didn't just show up willy-nilly. Like, they had studied the history of every single republic in the history of mankind. And they tried to draw lessons from those experiments. And there was really only one thing that united every single every single Republican form of government that had ever existed in the history of humankind, and it was this. Every single one of them had failed. And so they understood it fell to this country, the United States of America, to determine once and for all. Can people really govern themselves? Can we have a society based on the idea that our rights come from God, not from the government? That government's role is to protect the rights that we already possess? That you should have an open field and fair chance to realize your dreams and make the most out of those God-given ability? That you could have a written constitution that divided power so that no one was too powerful in government? Could you have the rule of law rather than the rule of men? These are all questions that they sought to answer. And they gave us a great constitution. We've had a lot of people that have fought for this country over the years, in the political realm, but also wearing the uniform. But they understood it was fragile. Benjamin Franklin walked out of that convention. He was asked, did you give us a republic or a monarchy? And his answer was a republic if you can keep it. You can have the best Declaration of Independence in the world. You can have the best Constitution in the world. These things do not run on autopilot. They require every generation of Americans to step up, be heard, and fight for what matters to this country. And that may mean putting on a uniform and losing your leg like Senator Collins. It may just mean that you go as a mom that's concerned about what's happening in your schools and you're willing to stand up and speak the truth, knowing that they're going to attack you and knowing that they're going to smear you. There's a lot of different ways that you can play your part. But that's what we must do. We must continue the fight. I'm proud of what Florida has been able to achieve. I'm proud that so many other states have been able to emulate us. But there is nothing certain in this world. There is no such thing as a permanent political majority. We've got to keep fighting. As fast as it got the way it's gotten, it can go that much faster back in the other direction. So let's go forward and fight for the people that sent us here. Let's deliver big results for them, and let's make sure that this state remains the free state of Florida. Thank you all. God bless you. Get some more protesters than that. It's kind of weak. They could have done a lot better.